compromises the role of the GPPA.
We as an appropriation institution and an oversight institution should be concerned about the level of compliance by government agencies. That's why I said when I read the report, I was not happy at all. There is that free attitude to say we will not comply, and nothing happens.
Unless and until we start doing as he said here, every year we will keep on seeing people violating GPPA regulations. And we know that if not 80%, 75% of any institution's fund will go into procurement.
Are the institutions that are moving on the same as those that are trained? If you look at the list of institutions for whom training were conducted, you would observe that some are still fluctuating and cannot go beyond fairly compliant or mainly compliant.
We are going to make sure that the executive is aware of certain problems that you have. In fact, particularly this one I want to re-echo: non-compliance. And the non-compliance, the column covers mostly institutions that are in the executive.
After due scrutiny and having rated itself with a compliance level of 100%, the annual activity report and financial statement of the GPPA was considered and adopted by the Pack and Pay committees of the National Assembly. For GRTS News, I am Ajami Sise.
The National Consultative Forum on Disaster Risk Reduction has ended at the Governor Conference Hall. The synergy, which brought together officials in the sector, seeks to review progress made in disaster reduction and map out a way forward. Babukar Kamara attended the closing analysis report.
Was one of the countries in West Africa that started putting up a platform for disaster risk reduction. And the Gambia was a case study for the sub-region.
They said as stakeholders concerned with effects of disaster, building on the sorrowful experience over the years.
This meeting marks another milestone for the Gambia Disaster Management Agency and partners in making sure that we put our ideas, we put our heads together, our resources together, institutions come as partners, the private sector, the civil society organizations.
The national platform should be a forum for us to be able to disseminate the disaster risk reduction plans and implementation activities that are in this country. It also gives us an opportunity for us to be able to share information regarding the status of disaster in this country.
Their platforms emerged from a sub-regional commitment initiated by ECOWAS, meant to boost advocacy on disaster risk reduction, which is predominantly constituted by heavy downpour in the case of the Gambia.
There are 13 platforms established, but only 2 of these platforms are functional, and the Gambia is not even part of those 2 platforms. So this is really very serious, and I think we would all come together as Gambians.
As stakeholders sat on the drawing boards once again, it is hoped disaster risk reduction will be integrated to consistent national programs for more robust approach and response to disaster outbreaks. Babukar Kamara, GRTS.
Officials of the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare recently took delivery of medical items which were donated to the Health Ministry by one Ramphal, a Gambian based in Finland. Fatu Jassi was at the presentation and she reports the items are meant to advance the Gambia's health service delivery.
Ramphal has for the past few years been a consistent contributor to the advancement of healthcare in his home country through donation of medical supplies and equipment. The 40-foot container consists of walking aids, physiotherapy chairs, wheelchairs, crutches, among a host of other relevant medical equipment. Ram's father, who spoke on behalf of his son, said his son has the interests of the country at heart and would contribute significantly in any form towards the development of his nation. The health minister is particularly appreciative of RAM's benevolent gesture, describing it as a worthwhile venture.
Of health at the moment is in serious need of some of these items. Just recently there was a nationwide tour that was concluded by the health team, and they came back with new needs that were found within the regions and elsewhere. There's also been an expansion in some areas, for example Birkama, and we are also looking at renovating SL. And I think really these material will come in very handy in terms of assisting.
I've been helping the Minister of Health and other departments, other ministries as well. I remember 3 containers, 40-foot containers were donated to the AFPRC hospital in Farafenye. And last year, at the time that most of these items were needed, he managed to mobilize the resources. And that was one thing. What was most important and what was most encouraging under the dynamic leadership of the Honorable Minister, we have the head of state paying 2 40-foot containers to...
It is the latest in a series of fruitful partnerships between the Health Ministry and partners in an attempt to revitalize the country's health sector. For Grts News, I am Fatou Jassi.
Well, that takes us to our first break. We'll be right back.
At the lowest price ever.
3G AfriCell brings you the most affordable 3G internet bundles ever.
Get your AfriCell Extreme 3G internet service for as low as $15 is only.
AfriCell 3G bundles starting from 50 megabytes up to 12 gigabytes.
12 gigabytes bundle for a tariff as low as 5 buttons per megabyte.
And all bundles are valid for 30 days.
AfriCell Extreme 3G service for as low as $15.
To subscribe, please dial 120 and choose from the available 3G bundles.
For more info, call 113.
AfriCell Extreme 3G service.
For as low as 5 buttons per megabyte, stay connected to AfriCell's 3G network.
AfriCell.
When we say Extreme 3G,
it is truly extreme.
Welcome back, and to news outside the borders of the country. The African Union has offered logistical support to Malian authorities in a bid to help the government to gain control of northern Mali, where Islamists hold sway. And Libyan pro-government forces say they have taken control of the town of Bani Walid, one of the last remaining areas under the influence of supporters loyal to former Libyan leader Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. We have details of those stories and others in this African News Roundup.
The Union, which suspended Mali after a coup last March, is taking the country back in order to help Bamako regain control of the north. The African Union is making plans to offer logistical support to be presented to the United Nations in late November.
The overlapping crisis in Mali constitutes a serious threat to some of the core principles of the EU, particularly the principles of respecting national unity and territorial integrity.
Islamists have taken control of the north of Mali and installed a strict Sharia regime, while the rest of the country has collapsed. The African Union has also announced plans to open an office in Bamako. Colonel Vianney Kazaram is a spokesman for the M23 rebellion in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The rebels are fighting army troops in the east of the country. In an interview with a Chinese television station, Colonel Kazaram claims that M23 rebels have stabilized eastern Congo and children are returning to school. According to Colonel Kazaram, M23 rebels have the power to defeat the government in Kinshasa if there are no direct negotiations. Libyan pro-government forces seized control of Bani Walid, one of the last bastions of Muammar Gaddafi's ousted regime. Hundreds of fighters, mostly former rebels from the rival town of Misrata, converged on the center of Bani Walid to celebrate and hoist the Libyan flag on abandoned public buildings. A court in Ghana released the spokesman of the ex-Ivorian leader Laurent Gbagbo, but Justin Kone Katinan still faces an extradition hearing next month. Katinan was first arrested in Ghana last August on an Ivorian warrant for economic crime.